Okay, everybody, this is going to be a video about mats. We talked in our first video about masks, and the second video is going to be called mats. And what the difference is that a mat uses a black and white image. So for example, an image like this that is distinctly black and white. The area that's white will be the area that will be what you see, and the area that is black will be transparent. If you had a gray example like this, any area that is black will be transparent and any area that is white will be visible. If we had something like this would be visible and it would slowly go into transparency. Okay, so we're using the Luma values of a layer to reveal transparencies. So we can also use an animated image. So in this particular case, there's an animated image that is going to be a cartoon, or not a cartoon, an animation that actually plays black and white values, and that will actually reveal an image for us and hide it if it's black or white. So it'll use those values. So for instance, this animation, it's going to be transparent right now, and then whatever layer it's working with, it will reveal the layer here. The layer is completely visible, and then it will hide it again with these bubbles. Alright, so here's how this works. Back in After Effects, we have our turtle again. And under our turtle we have our chrysanthemum. And in our images folder we are going to import some images. We're going to take one of these. For instance, I'll take this PS Gold mat that looks like an old TV. I'm going to drop that into my images folder. I'm going to drop that in there. I'm also going to drop this VS Drippy 2 in there. These are nice examples. And I'm also going to drop that animated mat, this AB Transitions mat. Not the actual footage, but the mat itself. So I've got these things loaded into After Effects. So let's see how this works. What we're going to be doing is creating what's called a track mat. Now you're going to make sure that in your timeline here, you have in the columns that we work with, you have what's called the modes brought up, because modes and track mat work together. If those are missing down here, you want to right click and go to columns and check modes. So if yours is missing, go into this area, right click, columns, modes, and then you'll get the modes, which we'll talk about separately, and track mats, because we're going to be utilizing this idea of track mat. A track mat takes a layer above itself, so we're going to be putting a track mat, on this sea turtle. So for instance, I'm going to go up to the PS Gold, and I'm going to bring this down and put it above my sea turtle on my timeline. So here I have this. I'm just going to go right click and say transform, fit to composition, and here we have it. Watch what's going to happen. Sea turtle needs to take the top layer, and it's going to use, I'm going to point this layer to this object above it, this layer above it. So sea turtle is going to be utilizing a track mat. I'm going to go down, and since the layer above it is all the only options that I have, it always uses the layer just above it. I'm going to use the Luma values because we're not working with an alpha channel, we're working with Luma, the brightness or darkness values, luminosity. So I'm going to say Luma Matte PS Gold Matte TIFF. So I'm using this. When I do, watch what happens. It's taking this layer. Notice the icons are changing. I have here Luma. Notice there's two types, a Luma Matte and an inverted Luma Matte. Luma Matte takes the white value and makes it opaque. So I'm actually making that layer visible based on my top layer. So wherever that layer is, wherever I move it around, that is the part that I see. You can see I'm moving the gold TV matte layer, and there's my turtle as if he's in a window. If I chose down here, invert it, then it's actually going to show me all of my picture and cut out a hole for where that white area is. So it's inverting it. It's showing me just the opposite of what I want. Alright, let's try something different. I'm going to turn off my track mat here, no track mat. I'm going to select that layer and delete it, and I'm going to go to my Drippy Spice, Drippy 2, and I'm going to drop that on the top layer. Now I'm going to just grab this and fit it into my composition manually by just grabbing this. Doesn't matter. Now it's a black and white image. Taking the same kind of idea, sea turtle layer, I'm going to go to my track matte and I'm going to use the Luma value matte. And when I do that, it creates the part of the image that I see is in the white region. So if I was to grab this and move this about, the part that I see is white and the part that is transparent is black. So up here was the black portion. Remember, if we look at our references, what did it actually look like? It looks like this: white to black, transparent to visible. Transparent, I see what's underneath, which is the chrysanthemum layer. And then what's visible is the sea turtle. If I chose Luma matte inverted, then it does the opposite. At the top is visible and at the bottom is a transition. Okay? Now notice that it's not using the visibility channel of that layer, because if I were to turn that on, the visibility channel was on, we'd see the layer. But it's not. Whenever you turn on the luminance attribute here, I kind of like it inverted. It feels a little more natural. It turns off that layer. After Effects does that to you. So whenever I go to switch this around, I'm going to turn it off here. No track matte. I'm going to delete that layer. And I'm going to grab that animated movie transmission, AB Transitions matte. I'm going to take that, drop that on my top layer. Remember, it's always working with my top layer. This is an animated movie. And I'm just going to quickly grab it and move it into my composition size like so. All right, same thing happens. I'm going to go down to my track layer on just the layer that I want. Go to Track Matte Transitions. Notice that it's all black, so it's transparent, but as the animation plays, that white value will reveal that turtle layer in our scene, and then it wipes it away. And again, so if we were to look at this and render this out, this is what we'd get. We get this nice effect of water moving across the screen. So you could actually make your own animated masks in the same way. Okay? So what you need to remember is a matte is an image that you use, a black or white image. So for instance, we have this black and white image. We had this black and white image. Or we could have a black and white image that's essentially a movie. So we have this black and white image. Okay? So a matte takes an image, black and white, and a mask uses some curves to define the outer and inner regions of transparency. So that's the difference between a mask and a matte. And you need to experiment with these things and come up with some of your own experiments. So you can kind of understand these concepts further. All right. The next, be looking for some applications of these in the next videos.